Hello friend, and welcome to another episode of the Bonsai Pot-cast by Blue Nose Trading. I'm your host, Tori Solis, and today I'm going to be talking with ceramic artist Kitoi. Today we chatted about succulents, avoiding some long-term body stress as a potter, making mugs, and taking commissions. So let's get right into it. I'm here today with Keith from Kitoi Pottery. Hey Keith, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Sweet. Thank you so much for taking time to talk with me. So, Keith, tell me how you got started in clay.
So I've been collecting succulents for 30 plus years, and the clubs wanted me to start showing plants at their cactus and succulent shows. And, I didn't want to. And then around 2008, 2009, I said, oh, okay, maybe I'll do one. So I went looking for pots, and everything from the big box stores and the little mom and pop places were all too shiny, too big, it wasn't what I had in mind when I wanted a pot for my plants. So at that time I was married, and my ex she made porcelain dolls and had a kiln for making that. So I asked her if I could make a pot in there. So then she said okay, and I went to the clay store. I bought 25 pounds of clay, made a simple slump type pot over a wash tub, and then put my plant in it, took it to the show, won first place, and that started the cascade.
That's awesome.
So that's just kind of how it evolved.
All right, so it sounds like you're pretty much self-taught. Did you have anyone help you learn how to work with clay, or did you take any kind of classes or watch any people online?
I did everything off of YouTube. Everything I've learned, even today, is off of YouTube. I haven't taken no classes, nothing. I just, I want to learn something. I'd go on YouTube and find something that was kind of similar. And then I would go, since I do it at home, I'd go in the house, watch a clip, go out in the garage and try it, come back in, watch, go back out, and back and forth. And then that's how I just kind of developed my technique, my style. I learned the pottery wheel the same way, because I've read where centering clay is the hardest part. So I watched a couple of videos, and then I took 25 pounds of clay, made it into 1 pound balls, and I centered 25 1-pound balls, and by the end I had it. And then so it's just a ongoing process.
Yeah. YouTube's a great resource. I learned to throw off YouTube as well. I learned all my throwing and stuff on YouTube, and then I did go and take a class, but mostly just because I wanted to make sure that I was doing it right.
Yeah, see, I don't care about that. I don't care about doing it, because I have a certain vision in mind, and I don't care if it's the right way or anything. I don't care if there's air pockets in the clay. I don't care, because I've read enough and experienced enough to know that, air pockets don't cause explosions. It's moisture.
Definitely. I'm with you there. Yeah, I kind of like to do my own thing as well. It's so cool that you have a kick wheel. How did you end up with a kick wheel?
Oh, so there was a school closing, and it said ceramic supplies and all this. So it was San Bruno, which is south of San Francisco. So I drove down there, and they had a treadle style kick wheel, which is like a Lockerbie, where you sit down and you kick and your knee goes forward, or your foot goes forward to kick the wheel. A treadle type is you stand up and you pump it with your leg. Like you ever seen those leech kick wheels? On a leech wheel, you're sitting down. I don't like sitting down and hunching over my work. So I really like this one. You stand upright and you just pump it with your leg, like you're, kicking a dog or something. You're not pushing it. You're not pushing, because I've done the Lockerbie.
Is most of your work thrown then, or are you doing any hand building work? Or
there's a handful of customers I have that only want that type of pot. The ones that I've either ruined, or they want the ones that I've put more work into.
They're the special ones.
Yeah, and then once you get a certain amount of following, yeah, the unique ones. Because there's a few. I make one, I can never recreate it.
Yep.
Even come close, and then there's people that want those type of pots.
People be lucky if I let them have those type of pots. I sometimes keep them.
I have a shelf in here that.
I make a lot of dragons, and I end up keeping a lot of dragons, and I'm like, I should sell these, but sometimes I do collaborations with other artists too, just because I'm like, I'd rather just do this for free, because if I try to put a price on it, no one's gonna have it. It'll just live here. So let's just do a collab project. We won't talk about prices. We're just gonna make art. I like that when you pass a pot on to someone else and then they decide what to plant in it. Sometimes it's like, whoa, I wouldn't have thought of that, but all right, that's a take.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what's your favorite part of the whole process of ceramics? Is it glazing?
No, I hate glazing.
Everyone hates glazing.
I do it. I'd rather stain and be done with it. But I'll do, the glazing. People like color. I don't. So whatever I do in color is to sell. Because if you look at my collection and all the pots that I have, it's very few have color. I would say 10% of the pots that I have in my collection have color. I much prefer just the texture of the clay, the whatever impression I left on it, and just stain it to highlight that and be done with it. For me, the creating, my favorite is actually getting a plant, looking at it, and then have the plant in front of me and make a pot around it. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
So I'll buy plants and then I'll set it on the bench in front of me and look at it and make other pots, and then all of a sudden an idea will come in. I'll stop what I'm doing and then create a pot just for that plant.
I've done that too. Like I did. Actually, I made a pot that I didn't like how it came out, so I'm gonna make another one. But I made it for that miniature desert rose. Like you have a bunch of them. It's like, what is it? Let me try my best here. Trichodiadema densum.
Oh yeah.
That one.
Yeah. Yep.
That one.
That's that one. Yeah.
I made a pot for that one that was like. See, I kind of like sci-fi kind of art. So for that species, I saw some trees that people had done styled them to look more like trees. And so I made a pot that's like speckled clay, and then it has a sandworm, like a dragon, like WYRM, like coming in and out of the pot everywhere. So it's like a desert dragon pot sort of thing. And I was like, if I could just get one of those desert rose to get it into that form and make it look like a little tree in this round, it would just be, that's it. That's where I'm going with that idea one day. You want to you want to tell me about that plant, because it looks like you're really good at it, and mine doesn't seem to really, it's not dying, but like
it's a fairly easy plant to grow. The Trichodiadema, there's densum, and then there's what's the other one? Bulbosum. So the densum is more tree-like, and the bulbosum is more shrub-like. But they both produce, the large tubers that we like to expose. And they're winter growers. So they grow, like right now they're starting to grow because it's cooling off during the day and in the evening. So they spurt into growth. During the summer, they just kind of hang on and are kind of dormant. But come fall, they wake up. They'll grow all winter, and then into the spring, and then depending where you're located, if it doesn't get too hot, it will grow into the summer. I'm here in the Central Valley of California, which is 100+ degrees during the summer, and then so I just set it aside and don't let it water it very much and let it go dormant during the summer. And then come the fall, they wake up again and start growing.
Should I put it outside?
Do best outside.
I should put it outside. I've got it in a south window because I was worried about it.
No, they're very. I don't know where you are, but they could take down to 28.
I'm in Central Texas.
So if you put it against the south wall, it could stay outside all winter, unless it goes below 20 degrees, because they can take down to 28 degrees, 25 degrees here. They out in the open, never had a problem with them.
That's awesome. I should put it outside then and see how it does. And how does it do with the heat? Should I shade it during the dormant period? Because it gets up over 110 sometimes for like 3 straight weeks.
If it's in a shallow pot, shade it. If it's in a big pot you're growing to get it bigger, I leave it out in the open. But if it's in a shallow pot, shade it. Because that heat will cook the roots. and then you get that reflective
So to develop
heat.
that
The caudex, the tuberous roots, the fat roots. So the best way to develop those is leave it buried. Leave it buried. The longer you can leave it buried, the fatter it'll get. But most people don't have that kind of patience. You know, they buy it and they see the little thick root that's a 1/4 inch in diameter, and they get all excited and they elevate it. But then it won't get any fatter. What gets fatter is whatever's below the soil. So if you leave it buried like that one of mine, it's been buried for 15 years. Nobody wants to wait that long. So, and then it gets big. So I have some other bulbosums that have been buried for going on 20 years. And one of these days I'll get around to unpotting it, washing it out. You know, but
that's awesome. I need to go put mine.
Put them in the ground, put them in a big pot in the ground. Because a lot of times if you put them in the ground, just in the ground, the roots will just wander, you know, just like a tree. If you put it in a pot and then put it in the ground, the roots stay contained. But few of the feeders will come out the bottom, but you'll still have that root mass within the pot. And that's, you know, if you look around here.
Well, this should hit the right audience. Because the bonsai people, I would think, are patient. You know, growing trees isn't exactly an overnight thing.
Yeah, that's...
Do you have any trees, like true trees? Have you dabbled in it at all?
No, well, not. They're all xeric type trees, bursaras, operculicarias, that kind of thing. I've tried, like back in the 90s, pines and maples, but I just don't water enough.
That makes sense.
And I killed everything from not watering. That's why I switched. I took whatever I learned from bonsai back then and applied it to succulents. It's way more forgiving.
With the training and everything. Do you ever wire succulents and cactuses?
Oh yeah. I do wiring on that. Not cactus is kind of hard to do because of the spines, but succulents. You know, I have some. What is it? The elephant tree, portulacaria.
We bonsai people love portulacaria. We like to pretend it's a tree.
Yeah. Well, it you know, you could treat it as a tree. You can treat it as a succulent. Yeah. I've got a few in the ground that I'm pruning and letting it get bigger, fatter.
Cool. I've got regular and variegated ones.
Yeah, they're fun. They're easy.
They're really pretty. The variegated one seems to be a little more sensitive than the regular one.
Yeah. Yep. Can't take as much cold or heat.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a priss this summer.
Yeah.
Every time I get a new plant, I'm like, all right, well, you're doing good now, but let's see if you make it through August. And if you make it through August, you can live here, kid. Like.
Yeah. Yep, I do the very similar. Try it. Yeah, because there's a group of plants, you know, I don't even buy anymore because I usually go 3 tries.
Yep.
Try this, and do a little bit different each time. And if it still doesn't make it, then I don't buy it again.
I'm trying to think of the last plant that hurt my feelings. There's 2 that come to mind immediately. The Ming Aurelia, I can't keep those alive. I don't know what they want, but whatever it is, I ain't got it. And then the Rex begonias. I can't. They hate me too. I can't keep a begonia alive. And every year they get me. Every year. I see them all on the spraying at the garden center, and I'm like, maybe this year we could do it. We could just... I've tried putting it on top of a fish tank, and like nothing makes me happy. I don't know what they want. So where do you find plants? Like, do you just collect them from everywhere? Trade with people?
Trades. I do a lot of barters, you know, for pottery. A lot of my unusual rare plants are from barters. You know, I'll trade a plant for a pot. I get plants off of Etsy, eBay. I go to lots of cactus and succulent shows, and
that sounds like
I
fun.
look for plants that can be used, because a lot of people are looking at plants in a different way than I look at them. You know, I'm looking at the gnarly something that's been damaged at one point or another, and everybody wants something more perfect looking. So a lot of times I'll be just searching through plants looking for something that was damaged when they were young or at some point, and take those because, you know, they just have a different character to them.
Yeah, they have that personality. I think that the bonsai people really vibe with that too. A hobbyist, or are you trying to sell a bunch of stuff?
Well, it used to be. So before COVID, it was a hobby. My regular job never came back after COVID, so now it's a living. So now, you know, I still, it's a balance I haven't figured out yet. creativity wise and selling enough to make a living.
Yep.
So that's the line I'm still trying to figure out. But, I just try to do different things and people seem to like it. And, I don't have a problem selling anything. So I don't know. I've never really thought about the future.
Yeah, I mean, being in the present is a great way to be.
Yeah, I haven't really thought about the future. I just make, I'm just looking at a few months ahead of time. I've never thought about 5 years down the road. Hopefully I'm still making pottery because I'm 60 years old now.
Yeah.
Hopefully I could still be doing this, for another at least 10 years,
Yeah,
maybe
for sure.
more. Because I know quite a few potters that have stopped because of, hand arthritis, thumb arthritis, different things like that. But, they didn't, what I've observed with them is they did the same thing all the time.
Yep.
Where I'm constantly changing. I'll do it this way for a little while, that way for a little while, then I'll go to the wheel, and I'll come do this. And I don't do this repetitive thing over and over and over. Plus, I do exercises for my wrists and hands and forearms, so I don't get these kind of issues. So hopefully that will prolong my creativity.
I think you're going to be able to throw for a real long time with the best of them. I mean, you've got, I saw on your profile that you're into fitness and food, so that puts you at least 3 steps ahead of most of us. So where are you selling your work at?
Well, most of the time I sell probably maybe 50% online, and then I do 3 or 4 cactus and succulent shows a year. And then, like this year, I'm going to try the San Joaquin Potters Guild. That's in November, which I've never done before. I'm going to try that, make some different things, some vases and a few mugs and some shot glasses and just some different things.
And make some mugs.
Yeah, well, put my twist on a mug. So it won't be like your typical mug that you see everybody. It won't be like your regular mug.
I think it's going to be super cool.
Yeah, so I'm going to do stuff like that. I'm doing another sale locally in October for Halloween. So, and I'll make some skull things and stuff like that. So just do some different things like that.
You do what you got to do to get through.
Yeah.
I know that I make mugs.
Yeah.
I joke with my local potter friends, and I'm like, so, like, when I see them at shows or something, I'm like, oh, okay, so I see you like to make whatever it is, wind chimes or vases, and here are your mugs. Just like you walk up to my booth and you're like, oh, you like to make bonsai pots and mugs. Like, yeah, y'all like mugs.
Everybody likes to drink coffee.
Yeah, they do. Especially if you're doing shows, but I honestly, I kind of like to make mugs. Like, I get the joke is there, like, oh, we all have to make mugs, but also it's like, I kind of like it. It's a cool way to experiment with some weird new, just whatever, on a real small thing, even though I kind of do that also with mame pots, too, sometimes.
Yeah.
Just to do some weird experiments. That's cool to see everybody's spin on a mug and how they do it. I think yours would be really cool with all of your textures and everything. It'd be like the coolest mug.
Yeah, they come out kind of heavy. That's the only problem with them. They're to get. But I have a couple that I made for myself that are very gnarly. That they're a little too sharp to sell because the crevices are so deep. It's sharp. But for me, I kept those. Because if you grab it, it digs into the back of your fingers when you grab the mug. But
it's still cool. Even if it's not maybe necessarily the most comfortable mug ever, it's just interesting to see everyone push their entire design choices into this one form.
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool to have a whole conference where we just got a bunch of different people from all walks of pottery together. And we gave everybody 1 to 3 pounds of clay, and we're like, everybody make a mug. Go.
See what you come up with. Yeah.
So when you sell it online, you do auctions, right?
Yeah, usually I'll do an auction, and on Instagram, Facebook. I don't do an auction because I don't have as big a following on Facebook, so I just do outright sales there. I have a website. One of these days I'll get it finished. I got it set up. I just have to take pictures and that kind of stuff, and you have to do it. Like Instagram, I can just take one picture and sell the pot. Where if on the website, I have to take 3-4 pictures of each pot, at different angles and all this stuff. And I can't use my phone, so I have to use my regular camera, and it's just more effort. And so I haven't put in the effort to.
Do you think it's worth it? I mean, if you're selling it without all that work, why do it?
I could get a bigger. So, like on TikTok, everybody asks where I can buy pots, so I shuttle them all to Instagram, and a few go there. Mm-hmm. But I think I could attract another crowd of people if I had a site for TikTok.
Yeah,
and there's other people. A lot of people ask, especially a lot of people overseas ask for a website all the time. But I said, just go to Instagram. You can get it that way.
Just give them like a limited selection on the website, so they don't have to photograph everything.
Yeah, I won't put a lot, but just a few here and there. Because usually what I've been trying to do is because usually I would make 2 or 3 and then move on. Now I'm trying to make 3, 4, 5, 6 of a particular style and then move. So I'm trying to get better at that, and then sell a couple here of the same thing instead of just having 1 or 2, and then everybody wants that style, and that's all I have is 2.
I've been looking at doing it like it's just my current approach has been like, if something sells out, which I usually only make 1 or 2, then I make something sort of like it. Not exactly the same because I'm not that committed, but like if speckled and teal with straight walls sold out, I'll make another speckled and teal with straight walls. It might not be the same exact size,
but
the same,
it's roughly the same. Yeah.
Like I'm with you on the whole organic thing. I'm like too much control. It just gets a little too tight for me to even enjoy it. So I'm just like, it's whatever size it is.
Yeah.
It just is. And then sometimes I ding dink and wobble sometimes, and I'm like, that's just human. It's there now.
Yeah,
I'm not throwing this whole pot away because I bumped it on the way off the bat. Like it's what it is. But I always photograph it really clearly. I want to communicate.
Oh yeah.
But also,
look, there's this. Yeah. Do you do commissions?
I do not. Do you?
Yes. That's probably almost half of what I make is commissions.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. So like I've gotten a couple. Yeah. So the commissions is another challenge because. They have something specific in mind a lot of times. Sometimes they'll just say, I need it this size, make whatever you want. That's a lot of the commissions are that way. But like I'm working on one now. The guy sent me a picture of the tree, dimensions of the tree, the type of pot he wants, and specific measurements and all this kind of thing. And so that I had to, and it's something I've done similar technique, but I haven't done it to that scale. So I have to practice before I actually start on his, and it's one of these. It's so big, not so big, but it's big enough to where if I told him I can't start it till it gets colder, so when the temperature drops, I'll start on it because it will dry too quickly if it's warm out, and then it'll crack because of the intricacy of the design.
Yep.
So I told him I'll start it like November, December. And it will dry much slower, and then I won't have that worry about that cracking. So we'll see how that goes.
I have those issues sometimes too with my dragons, like the sculptural pieces, because I can't flip it once I put a dragon on it because dragon is there. It's a very delicate thing, especially when it's green. So I cut out these hardy backer,
the boards,
like the tile board. I cut out 12 by 12 or whatever size you want, squares of it, and taped off the edges. And so what I'll do is I'll take the dragon pot and put it on the hardy backer and then wrap that whole thing up in, it's just some loose plastic, like kind of like trash bag quality. And then I set that on a shelf and forget about it until the end of time. And that helps them dry slow enough during the summer here in Texas that things don't crack. But they do have to dry for like 4 to 5 weeks sometimes for those bigger pieces. But it's the hardy backer. If it gets all condensated in there, the hardy backer sucks it all up. So it's not just a damp box.
It's like a damp box basically, but customized. Yeah, I never thought about doing it.
So maybe, if you're in a pinch in July or something, you could experiment with it on a bigger piece.
Yeah, because I made a big one this summer. Well, I started in the spring. I started it probably in May. It was 28-inch diameter oval, and it started to crack, but luckily I was able to repair it. So the guy was still happy with it.
I've been playing with ovals, and every time they just hurt my feelings. They just remind me how far I have to go. That's all. And I'm just like, what do I do with all these wobbly ovals? Like I put so much into them.
What do you mean, the feet wobble or the...
Well, what happens is I don't have a slab roller, and I'm way too lazy to roll a slab by hand. So I drive to my friend's studio in Dallas, and I roll slabs, and I put them in a container and drive them home. But what's happening is at some point my slabs are being abused by me. I mean, I know it's my fault. Mm-hmm. I just don't know when I'm doing it. And so in my glaze firing, usually they will shift a little. And it causes the feet to not sit level like they were when I put them in there. Mm-hmm. And then I saw Waldo Street Pottery was using little clay nuggies underneath his thing, and I was like, genius, I'm gonna do that. So I did a whole load with that, and that didn't fix it.
That didn't help either.
No, I think it's it's transporting the slab, I think, is my issue.
Have you tried doing an oval off the wheel?
I mean, I always throw my walls for every slab. It's the bottom that I'm having issues with. But I haven't tried just throwing. I don't know how I would get it off there if I just threw a big flat piece of flat.
Well, you throw it just like you're throwing a pot, or a regular pot, but you don't make a bottom. So there's no bottom, and then you cut it off, and then you let it dry whatever amount of time depending on the size, and then you lift it up, make an oval, put it down on the slab.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm doing. But the bottom slab is the part that's warping because of my neglect somewhere.
Let's see. What else do I do? So, do you flip it over when it's drying? Because a lot of times the slab will dry at a different rate than the walls because you used water on the walls and nothing on the bottom.
Yeah, I usually dry the walls to about around the same as the slab, and then I connect them, and then I wrap them up in plastic on a plaster board and let them sit for a day or two to level out, and then I unwrap them, and then I flip it.
There's also another way to do ovals that I saw this video on making casserole dishes on YouTube, and where they cut the center of, they make it with the bottom and everything, and they cut a section of the base out, the bottom out, and then you push it together. I do that a lot. Ooh. I'll make these gnarly pots in an oval and then cut that center out of the base and then just push it in.
You just squish them together?
And then seal the bottom up, flip it over, seal the seam. And the only drawback to that one is it has to dry slow because the seam will pop. But other than that works out. I've made a 20-inch oval doing it that way.
That's a super cool technique. I've got big old plaster bats too, so I could definitely.
Yeah, but just go look at these square casserole dish.
Just got it.
And you'll see how they cut out pieces of wedge out of the bottom of the base of the pot, and then they just squish it together in either a rectangle, oval, square.
That's super cool. I am gonna look that up. That's neat. I've never heard of that before. Very
there you
cool.
go.
Got any other secrets? It's hard right off the bat. I'm sure you have plenty.
Yeah, there's plenty if I just have to think.
Yeah. Oh, well, all right. Is there anything else that you wanted to share or anything you wanted to ask me?
No, not really. You just follow, you can check me out on Instagram. That's where I'm the most active. Mm-hmm. And TikTok, I do different things. I try not to cross-post the same thing on each platform. Like Facebook, I'll do one thing. Instagram, I'll do another thing, and TikTok, I do something else. And so, either one of all those places, you can see my stuff, and you can, get things through Instagram. Message me if you have something specific in mind. I'm always up for a challenge.
He does commissions.
Yeah, commissions.
Ask him, not me. He does them. He loves them. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to go ahead and sign off.
Yeah, it was great.
This podcast is brought to you by Blue Nose Trading, which is me, and all of my patrons. You can get early access to unreleased podcast episodes and YouTube videos by becoming a patron of my work at patreon.com/bluenosetrading. You can find all of my current available ceramic work on my website, bluenosetrading.com. For social media links and information about today's artist, be sure to check out the show notes. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. Remember that you have great ideas that are worth exploring, drink lots of water, and I will see y'all next time around.